Welcome to today's episode. If you're new here, this channel is a place for calm science, slow understanding, and quiet storytelling. You don't need to focus closely. You don't need to remember everything. You can simply let the ideas pass by as you rest. And if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, you're always welcome to like the video or subscribe. It helps the channel grow slowly, the same way this kind of understanding grows, without pressure, without urgency. Tonight, we're going to spend some time with something that has been with you for every moment of your life. Something that worked silently while you learned to walk. Something that guided your thoughts today without ever asking for attention. The human nervous system, not as a diagram, not as a list of parts, but as a living process that moves through ordinary days. Right now, as you're listening, your nervous system is active, not loudly, not dramatically, just steadily. It is adjusting your posture without asking you to think about it. It is filtering sounds so my voice feels closer than the room around you. It is deciding which sensations matter and which ones can fade into the background. And it does all of this without announcing itself. Most of the time, we only notice the nervous system when something feels wrong, when pain interrupts a day, when anxiety speeds thoughts up, when fatigue makes the body feel heavy. But when things are working normally, the nervous system prefers to remain invisible. That invisibility is part of its design. To understand how the nervous system works in daily life, it helps to start with a simple idea. It is not a control center giving orders. It is a communication network, constantly listening and responding. Every second, information flows inward from the skin, the eyes, the ears, the muscles, the organs. And every second, signals flow outward, adjusting movement, balance, heartbeat, breathing, digestion, attention. You are never separate from this process. There is no moment where it switches off. When you stand up from a chair, your nervous system predicts the shift in gravity before you feel it. When you reach for a glass, it calculates distance, grip strength, and timing in the background. When you hear a familiar voice, it compares that sound to stored patterns from years ago. All of this happens faster than conscious thought. That speed did not come from nowhere. The nervous system is one of the oldest biological systems we carry. Long before humans thought in words, nervous systems were already helping living things sense danger, move toward safety, and respond to change. At its core, the nervous system exists for one reason: to help an organism survive in an unpredictable world. But survival does not always mean dramatic action. Most of survival is subtle adjustment. Imagine walking down a familiar street. You don't consciously calculate each step. You don't tell your legs how far to move. You don't monitor the tension in every muscle, yet nothing collapses into chaos. Your nervous system has learned patterns through repetition. It has stored them quietly, and it replays them when needed. This is why daily life feels smooth most of the time. Even small habits rely on this silent learning. Typing on a keyboard, tying shoelaces, turning a door handle. At first, these actions require attention. Later, they unfold almost on their own. This shift is not laziness, it is efficiency. The nervous system constantly looks for ways to reduce effort. If something can be automated, it will be. This frees mental space for other things: thoughts, memories, imagination. And it also allows the body to conserve energy. Energy matters more than we usually realize. The brain, which is part of the nervous system, uses a large portion of the body's energy even at rest. So the system has evolved to avoid unnecessary work. That's one reason repetition feels comforting. Familiar routines demand less prediction, less correction, less vigilance. When life follows patterns, the nervous system relaxes its monitoring. This is why familiar places feel safe, why predictable evenings feel calming, why habits can soothe anxiety without us fully understanding why. Safety for the nervous system is not an emotion. It is a state where fewer alarms are needed. Alarms are expensive. When the nervous system senses potential threat, it increases alertness. Heart rate shifts, muscles prepare, attention narrows. These responses are useful when danger is real. But when they remain active too long, they become exhausting. Daily stress often has less to do with events themselves, and more to do with how long the nervous system stays on high alert. Modern life presents many signals without clear physical resolution. Emails, deadlines, social expectations. The nervous system responds as if something must be done, but the body rarely gets to complete the cycle through movement or rest. Over time, this can create a feeling of constant background tension. Understanding this helps explain why simple actions can feel grounding. Walking slowly, stretching, sitting quietly. These actions send signals back to the nervous system that the environment is stable, that movement is controlled, that the body is not under immediate threat. You don't need to think this for it to happen. The nervous system understands through sensation, not explanation. As the day progresses, your nervous system keeps adjusting its balance between activity and recovery. In the morning, signals encourage alertness. Muscles respond more quickly. Attention sharpens. As evening approaches, other signals begin to dominate. Temperature shifts. Light fades. Hormonal patterns change. The nervous system does not simply react to the clock. It responds to accumulated input. How much stimulation you've had. How much movement. How much unpredictability. By night, the system naturally seeks quieter patterns. That is one reason voices sound different late in the day. Why slow speech feels easier to receive. Why complexity becomes tiring. The nervous system, like the rest of the body, prefers rhythm. And tonight, as you listen, it is already adjusting to this slower pace. Not because you told it to, but because it recognizes the pattern. In the next part, we'll begin to look more closely at how the nervous system senses the world through the body itself. Through touch, position, and internal signals that rarely reach conscious awareness. For now, there is nothing you need to do. Just let the words continue, the same way the nervous system continues. Quietly, reliably. Most of what your nervous system knows never becomes a thought. It doesn't arrive as language. It doesn't ask for interpretation. It arrives as sensation. Long before you form an opinion about a moment, your body has already reported it. The nervous system listens first to the skin. Every inch of your skin is filled with tiny receptors, each tuned to a specific kind of information. Pressure, temperature, stretch, texture. When fabric rests against your arm, signals travel inward. When air cools your face, signals follow. When your weight settles into a chair or bed, signals spread slowly upward through nerves that have been carrying similar messages your entire life. This constant flow is not background noise. It is the primary data stream. Your sense of being located somewhere in the world comes largely from this steady reporting. The nervous system uses it to answer a basic question over and over again. Where am I right now? But location is not just about place. It's also about position. Inside your muscles and joints are sensors that measure stretch and tension. They report how bent an elbow is, how far a knee is flexed, how much effort a movement requires. You rarely notice this information unless it changes suddenly, when you misjudge a step on the stairs, when you lift something heavier than expected, when you reach for a surface that isn't where you thought it was. In those moments, awareness briefly catches up to the signal. Most of the time, though, the nervous system handles posture and movement quietly. It makes constant microadjustments to keep balance stable. Even sitting still is not actually still. Small muscles contract and release. Weight shifts slightly. Pressure redistributes. All of this happens without instruction. This silent coordination is one of the nervous system's most impressive daily achievements. It allows the body to feel solid without feeling stiff. The same quiet reporting happens inside the body. Your nervous system receives information from internal organs as well, from the heart, from the lungs, from the digestive system. This internal sensing helps regulate rhythm. Heart rate adapts to movement and rest. Breathing adjusts to speech, emotion, and posture. Digestion speeds up or slows down depending on safety and availability. Most of these signals never become conscious sensations. You don't feel your liver working. You don't hear your intestines coordinating digestion. When everything is balanced, the nervous system keeps these processes out of awareness. This is intentional. Conscious attention is limited. The nervous system protects it by filtering what reaches it. Only when something deviates from expectation does awareness get involved. Pain is one such signal. Pain is not just damage. It is information that something requires attention. The nervous system decides when to amplify a signal and when to dampen it. This decision is influenced by context. The same injury can feel different depending on stress, fatigue, and emotional state. This is why pain can sometimes persist even after tissue has healed. The nervous system continues to prioritize that signal, often as a protective habit. In daily life, this filtering explains why you stop noticing certain sensations over time. The feel of clothing, the hum of a fan, the weight of your phone in your hand. These sensations don't disappear. They are simply marked as familiar and safe. The nervous system learns quickly what can be ignored. This learning is not passive. It is shaped by repetition. The more often a sensation occurs without consequence, the less attention it demands. This is why familiar environments feel calming. The nervous system does not need to stay alert. Novelty, on the other hand, increases monitoring. New sounds, unfamiliar rooms, unexpected movements. These trigger more data collection. This is not curiosity in a human sense. It is risk assessment. The nervous system constantly estimates probability. What usually happens here? What happened last time? What could happen next? It does this quietly, without story. Only later does the mind construct meaning. This separation explains an interesting daily experience. Sometimes you feel uneasy without knowing why. Nothing obvious is wrong, yet something feels slightly off. Often, this comes from sensory patterns that don't match expectation. A subtle sound out of place, a posture held too long, a change in lighting or temperature. The nervous system notices first. Conscious explanation follows later, if at all. Understanding this can change how we respond to these moments. Not every feeling requires a reasoned response. Sometimes the body is simply recalibrating. Small adjustments can help, changing position, standing briefly, shifting attention to a different sensory input. These actions speak the nervous system's language. They provide new data. As the day unfolds, the nervous system weaves these signals together. Touch informs movement. Movement informs balance. Balance informs attention. And attention itself feeds back into sensation. What you focus on becomes louder. What you ignore becomes quieter. This feedback loop shapes daily experience more than most decisions do. When attention narrows, the world feels smaller. When it widens, the body relaxes its grip. None of this requires effortful control. It emerges from interaction. As night approaches, the nervous system naturally shifts, which signals it prioritizes. Sharp contrasts soften. Muscle tone decreases slightly. Sensory thresholds change. This is not sleep yet. It is preparation. A gradual handover from active monitoring to maintenance. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system uses electrical signals to move information at remarkable speed, and how that speed makes everyday coordination feel effortless. For now, the body continues speaking in its own quiet way, and the nervous system continues listening. The nervous system speaks in electricity, not in flashes or sparks, but in controlled, measured signals that travel along living tissue. Every sensation you notice, every movement you make, every thought that quietly forms depends on this electrical language. Inside your body, billions of nerve cells are constantly passing messages to one another. Each message is brief, each one is precise, and together they create the smooth continuity of daily life. A single nerve cell, called a neuron, is shaped for communication. It has a long extension that carries signals forward, and branching ends that pass information along to others. When a signal begins, it is not vague. It is a carefully regulated change in electrical charge that moves down the neuron like a traveling wave. This wave does not weaken as it travels. It either happens fully or it does not happen at all. This reliability is essential. If signals faded halfway, movement would feel uncertain. Sensation would blur. Timing would fall apart. Instead, the nervous system preserves clarity by using thresholds. A signal is sent only when enough input arrives. Below that level, nothing happens. Above it, the message moves forward cleanly. This simple rule creates stability. It prevents constant noise. It allows important signals to stand out. In everyday life, this means your nervous system is always deciding what matters enough to pass along. The pressure of the floor under your feet crosses the threshold. The feeling of fabric on your skin usually does not. The sound of your name in a crowded room reaches awareness. Other voices blend into the background. Electric signals move quickly, but not infinitely fast. The speed depends on the type of nerve and how it is insulated. Some signals reach their destination in fractions of a second. Others move more slowly, especially those involved in dull aches or internal sensations. This difference in speed shapes how experiences feel. Sharp pain arrives suddenly. Dull discomfort builds gradually. The nervous system uses this timing to guide response. Fast signals demand immediate attention. Slow signals invite adjustment over time. When you touch something hot, the message travels rapidly. Your hand withdraws before you consciously decide to move. This is not a mistake. It is protection. Some pathways bypass deliberate thought entirely. They form reflex loops. These loops exist because thinking takes time. In situations where delay could cause harm, the nervous system prioritizes speed over reflection. Later, the brain receives an update. Only then does awareness catch up. Most daily actions, however, are not reflexes. They involve coordination across many regions. When you decide to stand up, electrical signals begin in the brain. They travel downward through the spinal cord. They branch outward to muscles in a precise sequence. At the same time, sensory signals travel upward. They report how the movement is unfolding. If something feels off, adjustments happen mid-motion. You don't pause to calculate corrections. They occur automatically. This constant feedback is why movements feel smooth. Without it, every action would require conscious monitoring. Walking would feel like solving a puzzle repeatedly. The nervous system prevents this by merging intention and sensation into one flow. Electric signals also shape attention. When certain neural circuits fire repeatedly, they strengthen their connections. Paths that are used often become easier to activate. This is learning at the cellular level. Each repetition slightly changes the network. Over time, familiar thoughts and habits become more likely to occur. This is why routines feel natural, why certain worries return easily, why practiced skills feel effortless. The nervous system does not judge these patterns. It simply reinforces what is used. This also means change is possible. New patterns can form, but they require repetition. The system does not respond to intention alone. It responds to experience. Daily life quietly trains the nervous system, where attention goes, how the body moves, what environments are repeated. These shape which circuits remain active. As the day progresses, electrical activity in the nervous system shifts. During focused tasks, certain networks dominate. During rest, others take over. There is no single on or off state. There are only changing patterns. Even when you feel still, signals continue. Memory networks replay fragments of the day. Sensory areas remain lightly active. Maintenance systems check internal balance. This ongoing activity explains why complete silence is rare. Thoughts drift in. Images surface briefly. Sensations come and go. The nervous system is never empty. It is always updating. As night approaches, electrical patterns gradually slow in some regions. Others synchronize more closely. This coordination prepares the system for rest, not by stopping activity, but by reorganizing it. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system divides its work between conscious awareness and automatic regulation, between what you experience directly and what happens quietly in the background. For now, the electricity continues its gentle movement. Invisible, essential, steady. The nervous system works on more than one level at the same time. Some processes rise into awareness. Others remain completely hidden. This division is not accidental. It allows the system to manage complexity without overwhelming attention. At the surface is conscious experience. This is where thoughts form, where decisions feel deliberate, where sensations become named and interpreted. When you notice the sound of this voice, when you remember something from earlier today, when you choose to shift position. All of this happens in the conscious layer. Beneath it is a much larger automatic system. This layer handles regulation, heart rate, breathing rhythm, blood pressure, digestion, temperature balance. You do not instruct these processes moment by moment. If you had to, daily life would be impossible. Instead, the nervous system delegates. It allows awareness to focus on what is new or uncertain. It keeps routine maintenance out of sight. This separation explains why you can think deeply while walking, or listen while cooking, or daydream while commuting. The automatic system keeps the body running while attention drifts. But these two layers are not isolated. They communicate constantly. Emotions are one bridge between them. When something feels threatening, the automatic system shifts body state. Heart rate increases. Muscle tone changes. Breathing becomes shallower. Only afterward does the conscious mind interpret these changes. This is why fear can arise before you know what you are afraid of. The body reacts first. The story comes later. The same process works in calmer directions. When the body feels supported and safe, the automatic system reduces vigilance. Muscles soften. Breathing deepens naturally. Attention widens. Thoughts often slow down afterward. This is not imagination. It is physiology. The nervous system prioritizes body state because body state predicts survival. In daily life, this means that how you feel often shapes what you think more than the reverse. A tired nervous system narrows perspective. A rested one allows flexibility. This is why difficult problems feel easier after rest. Why conversations go better when the body is relaxed. The automatic system sets the stage. Consciousness performs on it. Another bridge between these layers is habit. When you repeat an action enough times, it moves from conscious effort to automatic execution. Driving a familiar route, brushing teeth, locking a door. At first, attention is required. Later, the action unfolds on its own. This frees awareness, but it also means habits can persist without review. The nervous system values efficiency over evaluation. Once something works, it keeps using it. This is useful most of the time. It is also why change can feel difficult. To alter a habit, the nervous system must reassign control from automatic circuits back to conscious ones. This takes energy. It requires attention, repetition, and patience. The system resists not out of stubbornness, but conservation. Energy saved is energy available for unexpected challenges. This principle shows up clearly in posture. You don't consciously hold yourself upright all day. The nervous system uses reflexes and learned patterns to maintain balance. Only when you become uncomfortable does posture enter awareness. This is not neglect. It is delegation. Pain is one of the few signals strong enough to override automation. It forces awareness to return to the body. This is why chronic pain is so disruptive. It keeps attention locked on regulation instead of exploration. The nervous system's goal is to return control to automatic systems whenever possible. Rest helps this happen. During rest, sensory input decreases, muscle demands lower. The system can recalibrate thresholds. Signals that were treated as urgent can be reclassified as safe. This is one reason why stillness feels restorative even without sleep. It gives the automatic system time to reorganize. As night approaches, the nervous system gradually shifts authority. Conscious effort becomes less dominant. Automatic rhythms guide the body. Thoughts may still appear, but they carry less urgency. The system is not shutting down. It is redistributing resources. In the next part, we'll look at how the nervous system manages emotion as a physical process. Not as abstract feeling, but as coordinated patterns of signal and response. For now, awareness can remain light. The deeper systems continue their quiet work. Emotions are often spoken about as thoughts or feelings. But in the nervous system, emotions are patterns of activity. They are shifts in signals that prepare the body to respond to the world. Before an emotion becomes a word, it is already a change in the body, a tightening or loosening of muscles, a change in breathing rhythm, a shift in heart rate, a subtle adjustment in posture. The nervous system treats emotion as information. It answers a simple question: what kind of response might be needed right now? When something feels pleasant, the body tends to open. Breathing deepens slightly. Muscle tone softens. Attention broadens. When something feels threatening or uncertain, the body prepares. Muscles engage. Breathing becomes quicker or shallower. Attention narrows. These changes happen quickly, often before conscious labeling. You might say you feel uneasy, but the nervous system has already altered circulation and muscle readiness. This is why emotions can feel physical. A heaviness in the chest, a tightness in the jaw, a flutter in the stomach. These sensations are not metaphors. They are real physiological shifts. In daily life, emotions guide behavior without instructions. Interest draws attention toward. Discomfort encourages withdrawal. Fatigue signals the need for rest. The nervous system does not distinguish between emotional and physical survival. Both matter. This becomes clearer when emotion and memory interact. When you recall a past event, the nervous system often recreates part of the original body state, not the entire experience, but fragments. A posture, a facial tension, a breathing pattern. This is why memories can feel present rather than distant. The body remembers patterns even when details fade. Emotion acts as a shortcut. It tags experiences as important or irrelevant. The nervous system uses emotion to prioritize storage. Events with strong emotional signals are more likely to be remembered. This is not because they are meaningful in a philosophical sense. It is because they were physiologically significant. Daily life constantly updates these tags. Small successes, mild frustrations, moments of relief. Each leaves a trace. Over time, these traces shape expectation. If a certain situation repeatedly produces tension, the nervous system begins preparing earlier. This can feel like anticipation or anxiety. If another situation repeatedly leads to calm, the body relaxes more quickly next time. This is learning without language. Emotion also plays a role in social connection. Human nervous systems are highly sensitive to one another. Tone of voice, facial expression, posture. These cues are processed rapidly, often faster than words. When someone nearby is tense, your own muscle tone may shift. When someone speaks calmly, breathing patterns can subtly synchronize. This is not imitation in a conscious sense. It is resonance. The nervous system evolved to read others because cooperation increased survival. Even now, much of social comfort comes from regulation rather than understanding. Being around someone calm can quiet the body. Being around someone agitated can do the opposite. This is why environments matter. Lighting, sound, pace. They all influence emotional regulation through the body. In daily life, emotional states often linger longer than the events that triggered them. The nervous system holds patterns until it receives enough evidence to release them. This is not stubbornness. It is caution. Releasing too early could be costly. Rest, safety, and repetition help the system let go. This is one reason why emotional clarity sometimes appears after sleep. During rest, the nervous system revisits patterns with less sensory input. Signals that once felt urgent can be reevaluated. Intensity softens. Emotion does not disappear. It becomes proportional. As night continues, the nervous system naturally favors states that require less energy. High arousal emotions fade. Gentler ones remain. This transition is not forced. It unfolds gradually. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system organizes attention and thought during waking life, and why the mind sometimes wanders even when the body is still. For now, emotion continues its quiet movement, not as a story, but as a rhythm within the body. Attention feels like something we direct, but in the nervous system, attention is something that emerges. It is the result of many signals competing for priority. At any moment, countless messages are arriving from the body and the environment. Sounds, sensations, memories, internal states. The nervous system cannot process all of them equally, so it ranks them. This ranking is not conscious. It depends on novelty, relevance, emotional weight, and learned importance. What rises into awareness is what wins this quiet competition. This is why attention sometimes shifts without permission. A sudden sound interrupts thought. A memory surfaces unexpectedly. A sensation becomes noticeable after being ignored. The nervous system constantly reassesses. Thought itself is part of this process. Thoughts are not produced in isolation. They are shaped by sensory input, body state, and past experience. When the body is tense, thoughts often narrow. When the body is relaxed, thoughts become more expansive. This is not coincidence. The nervous system coordinates body and mind as one system. Daily thinking relies heavily on pattern completion. The nervous system fills in gaps based on what usually happens next. This saves energy. Instead of analyzing every situation from scratch, it predicts. Most of the time, these predictions are accurate enough. You recognize a familiar place before seeing every detail. You understand a sentence before hearing every word. Prediction allows continuity, but it also means the mind can drift. When external demands are low, the nervous system turns inward. It reviews recent experiences. It simulates possible futures. It replays fragments of memory. This wandering is not distraction. It is maintenance. The system checks for unresolved patterns, something unfinished, something uncertain, something emotionally tagged. During routine tasks, attention often alternates between present input and internal processing. You might walk a familiar route while thinking about something else. The body handles navigation. The mind explores. This division works because the nervous system trusts learned patterns. Only when something unexpected appears does attention snap back. This explains why boredom feels uncomfortable. When external input is too predictable, internal activity increases. Thoughts multiply. Not because something is wrong, but because the system has spare capacity. In contrast, overwhelming environments narrow attention. Too much input forces prioritization. The nervous system focuses on immediate relevance and filters out reflection. This is why complex thinking feels difficult during stress. Attention is allocated to monitoring and response. At night, the balance changes. External demands drop, movement slows, sensory input softens. The nervous system redirects resources inward. Thoughts may appear more freely. Memories surface without clear cause. Ideas connect in looser ways. This is not overthinking in a technical sense. It is the system reorganizing. During this time, attention becomes less rigid. The boundaries between thoughts blur slightly. This makes imaginative connections more likely. It also makes worries feel larger if the body remains tense. Body state matters here. If muscle tone remains high, attention stays vigilant. If muscle tone softens, thoughts lose urgency. This is why physical comfort often changes mental tone. Lying down, lower light, reduced noise. These cues tell the nervous system that exploration can slow. Thoughts still arise, but they pass more easily. The nervous system does not aim to stop thinking. It aims to reduce the need for monitoring. When monitoring decreases, attention drifts naturally. In the next part, we'll look at how the nervous system uses memory in everyday functioning, not as storage alone, but as a living guide for present action. For now, attention can remain loose. The system continues sorting quietly. Memory is often imagined as a place where experiences are kept. But for the nervous system, memory is a process. It is not about preserving the past exactly as it was. It is about using past patterns to guide the present. Every day, memory works quietly in the background. When you recognize a face, when you anticipate a turn in the road, when you sense how a conversation might unfold. These moments rely on memory without replaying a full scene. The nervous system stores fragments, sensations, emotional tone, sequences of action. It then recombines them as needed. This is why memory feels fluid. Details change, order shifts, meaning adapts. The system is less concerned with accuracy and more concerned with usefulness. In daily life, memory helps reduce effort. If every moment were new, attention would be overwhelmed. By recognizing familiar patterns, the nervous system allows smooth interaction. You don't need to relearn how a chair supports you. You don't test every step. You trust. This trust is memory at work. Learning strengthens this process. Repeated experiences build stronger neural pathways. The more often a pattern is used, the easier it becomes to activate. This is why skills improve with practice. Not because muscles remember, but because neural circuits become efficient. This efficiency also applies to emotional memory. If a situation repeatedly feels safe, the nervous system relaxes faster next time. If it repeatedly feels threatening, vigilance appears sooner. These responses often happen before conscious thought. The body remembers first. This explains why certain places or sounds evoke feelings without explanation. The nervous system has associated those cues with past states. Memory does not need narrative to influence behavior. It works through association. During rest, memory becomes more active. When external input decreases, the nervous system revisits stored patterns. This is not random, it is selective. Recent experiences are reviewed more often. Emotionally, charged ones receive priority. This process helps integrate information. Connections form between separate events. Understanding emerges gradually, sometimes without deliberate reflection. This is why insights can appear after a quiet evening or a night of rest. The nervous system reorganizes memory when pressure drops. It tests combinations. It strengthens useful links. It weakens others. Forgetting is part of this process. Forgetting is not failure. It is refinement. Patterns that are not reinforced fade. This frees resources for what matters now. In everyday life, memory also shapes identity. Your sense of who you are emerges from repeated patterns of thought, emotion, and action. The nervous system maintains continuity by referencing these patterns, not as a fixed story, but as a tendency. You expect certain reactions from yourself. You recognize familiar moods. This familiarity creates stability, but it can also limit change. The nervous system prefers continuity. It resists abrupt shifts because they require energy and reorganization. Change happens best through repetition, not force. Small differences, applied consistently, gradually reshape memory. Over time, what once felt unfamiliar becomes routine. As night deepens, memory activity changes tone. Emotional intensity softens. Details blur. Themes remain. The nervous system focuses on integration rather than analysis. This shift prepares the system for deeper rest. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system regulates stress and recovery across the day, and why balance, rather than constant calm, is the goal. For now, memory continues its quiet work, guiding the present with the past. Part 8, Stress, Recovery, and the Rhythm of Balance. The nervous system was not designed to remain calm at all times. It was designed to adapt. Stress is not an error in the system. It is a response. When the nervous system detects challenge or uncertainty, it shifts into a state of readiness. Energy becomes available quickly. Attention narrows. Muscles prepare. This response is useful in short bursts. It helps with focus. It supports quick action. It increases precision. But the same response becomes costly when it lasts too long. The nervous system is built around cycles, periods of activation, periods of recovery. Daily life works best when these cycles alternate naturally. In modern environments, activation often extends without clear resolution. Mental tasks replace physical ones. Deadlines replace immediate threats. The nervous system responds, but the body does not always complete the cycle through movement or rest. As a result, readiness lingers. This can feel like tension without direction. Recovery is not the absence of activity. It is a shift in regulation. During recovery, the nervous system lowers thresholds. Signals that demanded urgency lose priority. Energy use becomes more efficient. This process requires cues: stillness, predictability, repetition. These cues tell the system that constant monitoring is unnecessary. In everyday life, small rituals support recovery. A familiar evening routine, dim lighting, slower pace. These patterns reduce uncertainty. The nervous system relaxes its grip gradually. Importantly, recovery does not erase stress. It recalibrates response. After recovery, the system can respond again when needed. This flexibility is health. Balance is not staying calm. Balance is returning to calm. This distinction matters. Expecting constant calm creates frustration. The nervous system expects variation. It prepares for action and then seeks rest. When rest is delayed, the system compensates in other ways. Fatigue, irritability, reduced attention. These are not flaws, they are signals. They indicate the system is conserving energy. In daily life, recovery often comes in short moments, pauses between tasks, quiet attention to simple sensations, predictable transitions. These moments matter more than dramatic changes. They allow the nervous system to downshift briefly. Over time, these brief recoveries accumulate. Nighttime offers a longer recovery window. As stimulation decreases, the nervous system reduces alertness. Hormonal patterns support repair. Muscle tone lowers. Heart rate variability increases. This variability is a sign of adaptability. A flexible nervous system adjusts easily. A rigid one remains stuck in a single mode. Understanding this helps explain why some nights feel more restful than others. The difference is not effort, it is alignment. When cues match expectation, recovery deepens. When mismatch remains, readiness persists. The nervous system learns patterns over time. Consistent rhythms strengthen recovery responses. Irregular patterns increase monitoring. This learning is gradual. It responds to repetition, not instruction. As the night continues, the nervous system continues shifting toward conservation. Not shutting down, not disconnecting. Simply changing emphasis. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system supports social connection and communication in everyday life, and why human presence itself can be regulating. For now, balance continues to find its rhythm. Quietly, the human nervous system did not evolve in isolation. From the beginning, it developed in the presence of others. Much of daily regulation depends on social signals, even when no words are exchanged. When two people share a space, their nervous systems begin to exchange information, not through conscious intention, through tone, timing, posture, and rhythm. A calm voice can slow internal processes. A hurried presence can increase alertness. This happens automatically. The nervous system is tuned to detect safety or unpredictability in others. Facial muscles, eye movement, body orientation. These cues are processed rapidly, often before conscious interpretation. This sensitivity supports cooperation. In early human environments, survival depended on reading others accurately. The nervous system learned to use social cues as shortcuts. If others were calm, the environment was likely stable. If others were tense, attention needed to increase. This pattern remains. In everyday life, being around someone steady can quietly regulate the body. Conversations feel easier. Thoughts slow. Breathing becomes more regular. The opposite is also true. High-energy environments increase stimulation. The nervous system adjusts accordingly. This is not weakness. It is responsiveness. Social regulation explains why isolation can feel draining even without conflict. Without external cues, the nervous system must regulate itself entirely. This requires more energy. It also explains why certain shared activities feel restorative. Sitting quietly together, listening to the same music, walking at the same pace. These experiences synchronize rhythms. The nervous system values predictability. Shared timing reduces monitoring. Even digital interactions carry some of this effect. Tone of writing, pacing of response. The nervous system extracts rhythm wherever it can. In daily life, misunderstandings often arise when nervous systems operate at different speeds. One person is in a high alert state. Another is relaxed. Words pass between them, but body states do not match. This mismatch creates tension. Understanding this can soften interpretation. Not every conflict is conceptual. Many are physiological. Regulation precedes explanation. When nervous systems align, communication flows. Attention widens. Interpretation becomes generous. This alignment does not require agreement. It requires compatible pacing. At night, social input decreases. The nervous system turns inward, but traces remain. Voices heard during the day echo softly. Interactions replay briefly. This is not rumination. It is integration. The system reviews social signals to update expectations. This process helps maintain connection even in rest. In the next part, we'll explore how the nervous system adapts across a lifetime, from early learning to gradual change. For now, the quiet conversation continues. The nervous system is not fixed. It changes with experience, age, and environment. From the earliest days of life, it is shaped by interaction. In infancy, the nervous system is highly flexible. Connections form rapidly. Responses are broad and undifferentiated. Over time, repeated experiences refine these responses. Patterns strengthen, others fade. This process continues throughout life. Learning does not stop after childhood. It simply slows and becomes more selective. The nervous system remains capable of change because it must adapt to new conditions. Daily life constantly introduces small variations, new routines, new roles, new environments. Each requires adjustment. This adaptability is supported by plasticity. Neural connections can strengthen, weaken, or reorganize based on use. Repetition increases efficiency. Neglect allows pathways to soften. This is why skills can fade when unused, and why practice restores them. Aging changes the nervous system, but not only through loss. Processing speed may slow. Reaction time may increase, but integration often improves. Experience allows faster pattern recognition. Less data is needed to reach understanding. This trade-off supports wisdom. The nervous system shifts emphasis from speed to efficiency. In daily life, this means older individuals often rely more on prediction and context. They anticipate outcomes. They adjust earlier. This reduces effort. However, prolonged stress can interfere with adaptability. When the nervous system remains in high alert states for too long, plasticity decreases. Change becomes harder. This is not permanent. Rest and safety restore flexibility. The system needs signals that adaptation is possible. Learning environments that feel safe support change. Those that feel threatening promote rigidity. Throughout life, the nervous system balances stability and change. Too much stability leads to stagnation. Too much change leads to overload. Healthy adaptation lives between these extremes. At night, the nervous system revisits this balance. It consolidates what worked. It loosens what didn't. This quiet evaluation supports growth over time. In the final parts, we'll look at how this system prepares for sleep and restoration, and how all these processes come together during rest. For now, change continues quietly. As the day comes to close, the nervous system does not suddenly change modes. It transitions. This transition is gradual, layered, and responsive to signals. Light decreases, movement slows, sounds soften. Each of these cues shifts regulation slightly. The nervous system reduces external monitoring. It increases internal coordination. This does not mean activity stops. It means priorities change. Muscle tone decreases in stages. Heart rate becomes more variable. Breathing patterns become less tied to immediate demand. Attention loosens its grip on specifics. Thoughts may drift more freely. This is not a loss of control. It is a reallocation. During this time, the nervous system checks balance, energy reserves, internal temperature, hormonal levels. Small adjustments continue quietly. The system prepares tissues for repair. Memory integration deepens. Patterns from the day are reviewed with less emotional charge. This is why certain concerns feel less urgent at night, not because they disappear, but because the nervous system deprioritizes action. It shifts toward maintenance. Rest is not an absence of work. It is a different kind of work. Processes that cannot occur during high alert become possible. Cellular repair, synaptic recalibration, waste clearance. These require relative stillness. The nervous system creates conditions for this stillness by reducing novelty. Predictable routines help. Familiar settings, repeated timing. These reduce the need for monitoring. The system recognizes the pattern. This recognition allows deeper downshifting. If cues remain inconsistent, readiness persists. The nervous system stays partially alert. This explains why certain nights feel lighter. The transition was incomplete. Understanding this can reduce frustration. The system is not resisting rest. It is responding to input. Small changes accumulate. Gentle pacing, reduced stimulation, consistent rhythm. These speak clearly to the nervous system. As rest approaches, boundaries between systems soften. Conscious and automatic layers interact more freely. Thoughts arise without urgency. Sensations pass without evaluation. This is not the loss of awareness. It is the easing of control. In the final part, we'll bring these threads together, not as a conclusion, but as a continuation. For now, preparation continues quietly. The nervous system does not end its work. It changes how it works. Throughout the day, it listens outward. At night, it listens inward. This shift is not dramatic. It is familiar. It has happened every night of your life. The same network that guided movement and attention during the day now supports restoration. Signals slow where speed is unnecessary. Coordination increases where repair is needed. Nothing is forced. The nervous system responds to patterns it has learned over time. Presence, repetition, safety. These are its preferred signals. As external input fades, internal rhythms become more noticeable. Heartbeats space themselves evenly. Breathing follows a steady cadence. Muscles release effort in stages. Thoughts may still appear. Fragments of memory. Gentle associations. Images without clear narrative. This is the system integrating. No action is required. The nervous system has handled this transition countless times. It knows how to continue. Even in stillness, activity remains. Connections strengthen, others soften. Balance is restored quietly. By morning, the system will shift again. Attention will narrow. Movement will become easier. Signals will speed up where needed. This cycle does not need supervision. It unfolds reliably. Understanding this can bring a subtle reassurance. Nothing essential is being neglected. Nothing needs to be solved. The nervous system is doing what it has always done, supporting experience moment by moment. Whether awake or resting, active or still, it continues its quiet work. And it will continue long after this voice fades into the background. That continuity is not something you have to maintain. It is already there.